Good evening, everybody. Welcome to week 8 now of Britball with the Breens. We don't have a guest tonight. Unfortunately, me and Chris have been rather busy this week and left it kind of last minute. If anybody wants to come on, then feel free to give me a shout and I'll send you the link, as long as you don't come on and badger us. So again, another week in the books. Some interesting results over the weekend. There were some blowouts. Some teams really came to play, surprise results, and obviously Hertfordshire, who I think were a bit hacked off that everybody didn't pick them, ended up going away and beating Rushmore on the road. So um, all in all, cracking weekend. Chris, any takeaways from you before we go into this week?
Yeah, no. I thought again there was some good games, some good scores, some really competitive football as well, which is always good to see. Obviously there was some severe blowouts, which are kind of naff, but no, there was some good games anyway. And as I say, we'll speak. I'm sure we'll speak about the cheetahs at some point, but I know Coach Barnes was very hacked off with us, but it was nice to see that their offense showed up this week, which was obviously the difference in the end. So, it was good for them.
Yeah, away from home as well. We do have something that's kind of funny that I've not put in yet, but I'll go here and say, evening, Craig. Evening, Bradley. And also, this one's an interesting one, Chris. Can you see this one?
Yeah, I can.
Like, to be fair, whether this is true or not, the score wasn't what I thought it would be. That I thought that East Kilbride would put more points up, but again, maybe I'm guessing it's Juan. You say your name, is it? I'm guessing that East Kilbride had out the full squad, did they? I wasn't sure if they would have the full squad out and or rest players, but obviously we don't get to see that, so we
I
just see the
always find
score and heard it was a
I always
draw
find
game.
though, like it was an evening kickoff, right? It was a 5:30 kickoff. I always find that like these um different times for kickoffs always seems to sort of wreak havoc with people. And you think, it's not like we're playing, religiously every Sunday at 2 o'clock, but for some reason, whenever there's a game at an odd time, it seems to do funny things to teams,
Yeah, it's
as
a bit
well.
weird, is it? But it's the same with like what do they always say when you're betting on the Premier League
Don't ever back the early game.
or the late game? Never back the
Oh.
early or late game. They always mess you up. And I don't know if that's the same here, or it's just a case of that Glasgow just came to play and gave them trouble. He's messaged us back here. So yeah, apparently their starters were until the end. So it's an interesting one because I did think it would be slightly more comfortable. Obviously, 38-0 looks like it's comfortable enough, but um, to like on EKP's side is EKP are not really known for absolutely gubbing anyone. I think we took one of the worst defeats to them, did we not?
Yeah, we lost like 52-6 or something. That was a bad day. That was rough.
Yeah,
Um,
there you go.
yeah,
It kicked off at 6, so
yeah,
even later.
and Ian, the comment below that, like, don't get me wrong, like you're correct. Like evening games are cool. Like our NFC 2 final against Chester, despite the absolute shambles that was the organisation of it, like playing under the lights at night was an experience I'll never forget. So yeah, they are cool, but they do funny things to teams, and I'm not really sure why, but it does seem to do some funny stuff. I don't know if it's just we're so used to that. We kick off middle of the afternoon all the time, so when it's an evening, people just seem to freak out a little bit. I'm no sports psychologist, so I don't know, but yeah, it does seem to do weird things to teams.
Yeah. I think you're right. I don't know what it is, but as I say, this the Premier League betting example is exactly the same. Like honestly, I've been screwed over so many times by the early and late games. Um, don't, you know this? If he's available, I don't know if I can even get hold of him, but I wonder if I can message him. 2 seconds, guys, and I'll try and message him. I don't know what this one is.
I mean, I'm glad it's in writing and not visual because that would be problematic anyway. Oh,
Darren
yeah, we
normally,
haven't seen you in a
yeah,
while, Darren.
he
Haven't
normally
seen you in a
updates
while.
us with the junior scores, does he?
Yeah, yeah. Well,
True.
given I know for a fact that half the officiating crew that were at the Wolves the Phoenix game were then at the Pirates game, I'm not sure ease the pressure is the right word. I kind of feel like they'd maybe be utterly exhausted would maybe be a good way to describe it. But I don't know. Maybe I just think it's the evening games or later games, different times. I think it just does some weird stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting anyway. So what we'll do is we'll go through some stuff here. So I have something rather funny this week that might make a few people laugh. But what we'll do is we'll go into our usual. So I'll just share my screen, and the only thing I'm going to say here is, if you know, you know. I'm not going to go too much.
Nathan. All I'm going to say is I've just seen Nathan's comment saying double headers are better than no officials at all. Coming from the only other game in Scotland that was on that weekend, I know.
Well, I tell you,
and our stand-in officials did they did a great job in the circumstances. Looking back, there was a few weird moments. I think probably the funniest one was when it was 3rd and 3. We changed ends, and all of a sudden it was 3rd and 10. That was a confusing moment by all fronts. But no, the guys that stepped in did a really good job. Despite everything else.
I will say, having the first time ever being head ref on Sunday, I was honestly broken on Monday. Like I've obviously not done much exercise this year, and I was running about back and forth, and I was absolutely shattered. And it was really hot. Like I couldn't believe how hot it was, and the game lasted forever. Well, the first half did. What I think the first half was like 2 hours 45 minutes long or something, or was it an
I don't
hour?
think I don't
2
I don't
hours
think it was
15.
that. I don't think it was that long.
It was
That long,
stupidly
but it
long.
was. I think it was a lot nearer to 2 hours than it was to one. It felt like it dragged on forever. It was, but it was a good game as well. Competitive, which is always good. But yeah, it was unfortunate.
Daniel's got an interesting here. Some teams used to play on a Saturday to help this, and I was actually part of a team that used to play on a Saturday, and they're actually really good on a Saturday as well. But they clash with football. Always good to be first game in ref double header. The second game they don't want to throw any flags. They just went over and done with.
maybe it's better to be the second game then. maybe what will be the second game? It depends. It completely depends.
Aaron saying the slide's got a big update this week. Yeah, although we've not been too harsh. As I said, wonder when the boxes start filling up. So, first things first, Swindon and South Lincolnshire are in postponed this week. They can't go into scumbag because apparently they are rescheduling these games. If they don't get rescheduled and they're just playing a game, there'll be massive scumbag box. If you don't know what the scumbag box is about, I'm not going to tell you. I think you should find out through other parties, but it's absolutely hilarious. I was absolutely peeing myself laughing.
I mean, like no one officially confirmed it, right? But like, if that's me, and that incident, that's one of my teammates. Like, I'm throwing hands. You know what I mean? At the next practice, I'm throwing hands. Because I'd be so furious about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but
I'm sorry. What? I mean, we've literally, bearing in mind, we've had a guy that said he couldn't. He was down doing a competition in Edinburgh, and I think it was rifle shooting he was doing, wasn't it? And the reason he was unavailable was because he forgot they'd have to put the rifles in the car for the way back, so that was his seat, so he didn't have a lift. And even I have to say, I mean, this is worse.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that in that instance, he was like, we were like, well, how did you get down there? Oh, well, there's a space on the way down. I was like, what? Did the guns just vacate their space and they
the,
went
gu-
down?
the guns traveled there themselves apparently.
But
Um,
this trumps that. I mean,
oh yeah,
what makes it
100%.
worse is it's your starting quarterback.
I mean, I couldn't even imagine. Like, I mean, the no hitting the quarterback rule gets broken next practice. I mean,
No red shirt.
100%. Like, if you're coaching that team, I wouldn't let him practice. I'd be like, one of those things. But nah, as you say, we've been kind of, because we don't know. And the thing with these two games as well was that are in the postponed section is we haven't heard that this is because there's no officials.
It's not.
We just
One of them, I believe, hasn't got enough team to travel.
yeah.
The other one, I've no clue what it is, but I believe that none of them are to do with officials. That's why they're in postponed.
But I mean, this is kind of it comes back to and it's such a we got rid of the yellow red card system,
There
right?
you go. Yeah.
We got rid of the yellow red card system this year. Why? Right? I mean, I can honestly say that the yellow red card system was probably one of the best decisions Bath had made in the last like 5-6 years, easily. So
Yeah.
they then get rid of it, and now this is starting to creep in again.
Do you know what's even worse? They've got rid of it because they know that some games might get called off because they can't get officials. I guarantee you that's
Yeah, but
part of it.
surely, and the thing is though, but right, and this is kind of the thing we go into is that there's a few teams have obviously tried to reschedule games due to no officials and stuff, and kind of, well, what I'm saying with that is that there's not going to be officials at any other time of the year, right? So now it becomes just a problem getting pushed further down the line. But what I've read is people saying that from those first games that were postponed, they've obviously reached out to BAFA saying, well, what can you do for us when we can reschedule? And they've still not heard anything back. Now, if they've not heard anything back about this, who in their right mind thought that moving the red yellow card system to a review and assess system, how it's going to be like 3 years? We're going to hear back about teams that have postponed games in like 2036 and be like, oh, by the way, do you remember that time when that team that no longer exists actually postponed? Yeah, well, they've been demoted. Oh, well done. You know what I mean? Like, it's just one of those things that, like, they don't have enough time to do what they're doing now. So they've decided to take away a really good system and make it shite.
Yeah.
I can't fathom it.
I
And this
got
is
one
the
on
thing,
Sunday off from
Nathan.
I've got one Sunday off from officiating in 10 weeks.
But
Yeah.
but Nathan, this is what I'm saying as well. Like, I know guys that are literally doing double headers and doing the tournaments on the Saturday. And it's mental, like I couldn't do it. I'd be exhausted, you know what I mean? So it's a shame, but the problem's just going to keep getting pushed further down the line. So
Yeah.
I mean, God knows. I mean, I think what you're going to find is we're going to get to the end of the season, and there's going to be a stack of games that are just called void.
Yeah. Probably. And
But
then
this,
they'll all end up in the scumbag section.
but this alleged idea of some games being double headers. Imagine that. Imagine you're the away team and you get beat by a point and that relegates you or something. I'd be absolutely spewing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Definitely give you splitting the games over the weekend, have a certain amount of games. This, like, to be fair, because it gets in the way of football, and no matter how much we try and say it's not, football's more prevalent in the UK. But once it comes to like the end of May, you should be able to play Saturday games because there isn't that much football going on after May. So it might be a good thing doing. Not to mention players doing their GB comments. Yeah, that's bonkers. Can understand proposing a game due to shortage of players, we at Northern Storm.
In fairness, though, about this, Darren, the whole point of bringing in this 35 registered minimum was so that this could be avoided, right? It was to say that the only teams that make it into the league are sustainable. But the problem with that is who's regulating this? What's to stop a team with 15, 16 actual players registering like their partners? Nothing really. I mean, if they're really that determined, you know what I mean? But and as much as I understand you saying postponing game due to a shortage of players, it shouldn't be happening. It really, I mean, what they've played 3 games?
Yeah, I mean,
and but and that's the thing. Like, as much as it might be a temporary solution to move games to Saturdays, I mean, you could have the odd game on a Saturday during the year, which we've seen before, and that's always good to see. But Ollie, I've seen a couple of comments down, makes a really good point. There's under 16s, there's under 19s, there's women's tournaments. It's not a fix, is it? It's not a solution. It's fair enough if we say, right, those games, for example, if you look at like the Edinburgh Wolves and the Tamworth Phoenix as an example, like that's a game that demands a high official count. Could that be played on a Saturday? Probably.
But it's not Wolves normally have one game on a Saturday. That's the team I was referring to.
Tamworth normally have 2 or 3, to be fair. But it's one of those things.
Ollie does have a point. I mean, you're right.
It's a great point.
There's so many things that happen on a Saturday, and it can't be a sustainable thing. But one game now and again on a Saturday, when there's fixtures are loaded, might just be
and put a live stream on it.
Yeah, a short-term fix for some of the games this year. But we digress anyway. It's one of these things that is interesting, but I think just the odd game here and there on a Saturday might be cool. Right, we'll go on to our play of the week now. Again, before we do this section, I always say like and share this post so we can get as many people seeing these as we can. This is the bit that matters. Try to get the plays out there for people. Now, I'm hoping that the quality of these are a bit better this week in terms of speed, because they're a bit jerky last time. But also, one of these videos looks great on my phone, but crap on my computer. Let me just see this up. Maybe
it's not the Essex Spartans again, is it?
No, it's not. That was a horrendously pixelated one. Right. Let's have a look at this. So our first play is sent in from the Nottingham Caesars, and as you can see, the quality is not ideal, but it's perfect on my phone. I don't know why it comes out fuzzy in here. So we're watching the QB here. After me saying last week about Chris saying early, I think I have to point it out here. We're watching the QB here. I'll let it play through, and we'll have a watch. Steps out the pocket, sees a hole, skips for one tackle, a little juke move, breaks a tackle, gets the outside, and he's gone. Guy can't get to him. Look, it looks like one of his teammates was finishing the 100-meter race there at one point. So again here, we gave a bit of a stick to the left guard last week because they had a play in here. He's got this blocked up here. It's pretty well done. I think this guy flares out and is read by the backer. So a massive hole opens up. So the backer's obviously keen on this guy and forgot that this guy's. I can't tell for sure, but this guy is meant to be watched by someone, you'd think. But if that backer's priority, and if it's cover one, will be this guy, and that's the end of that. He comes through a gap. 44 tries to adjust. The juke move there is interesting because it leaves 24 like total tripping over himself. And then here they have a chance to tackle him. They miss him. He gets the outside. And as I say, watch just here in the behind the player. If you watch, his teammate is just about finishing the 100-meter sprint. Oh, there we go. So another class play. And just to point out, that is not the same QB as last week. So clearly Nottingham have a couple of QBs that can run, because that was pretty good going. Now the next one is from Manchester. Now this isn't the play of the week candidate first, but it's the play before. And what I can't understand is that this is ridiculous because this isn't even Manchester's starting offensive line. So this is absolutely absurd. Watch what the offensive line does.
Is it not? Because it's right at the start of the game. This must be
but they were missing their starting left tackle.
Right.
And they were missing a couple of players. This isn't their starting running back either, I believe. So, but watch this. This is absolutely absurd. What this offensive line does to Sheffield here.
This is an offensive line coach's dream, right? I mean, realistically, if you've got a group of guys that can do this, you're absolutely laughing.
Look at this. Oh my word. Like 9 fluffs that tackle, but in all seriousness, like that offensive line is miles down the field clearing a path. Yes, Craig's saying here we had some starters missing.
Yeah, you actually get to see Craig take his guy out of the screen.
Yeah.
I think he took him for a hot dog, to be honest. I mean, he absolutely obliterated him.
But what is really annoying me here, right, is this play of the week submission. No, not the running back. The running back gains yards. He's patient. What annoys me is the play of the week submission, which is next, right? How do you go from being destroyed like that to having this opportunity and that shoving at the end? That'd have been a flag in our game, Chris. I'm just saying. But the 36 comes off and 26 comes on, right? And I cannot fathom how one play you get absolutely bulldozed like that, and then this next play comes in, and this is our play of the week nomination. So I'm not going to fast forward it. So the Titans just line up again. Okay, Sheffield just thinking, "Oh my word, what's just happened?" And this happens. So come on, Sam, hurry up. Okay, so we just come in, swap sides, snap the ball. Day handoff, and again, look, not much push this time. Giants have plenty of chance to get him. Oh, they've wrapped him up here. Easy time. Let's get him down. Oh no, wait, he escapes. He runs down the sidelines for a touchdown. Now, honestly, this hacks me off something rotten because you've just been absolutely annihilated on the play before, and this time you actually do a half decent job, right? So first guy comes off the backside. He's obviously not important, but then this guy gets through. He doesn't go low in the tackle. He ends up getting shrugged off. This guy's got clean shot on him, but pauses, so he gets round him. Right, so he gets round him, and then this bit, right now, this guy has him, and his teammate here should annihilate him, like run right through him, but just kind of gives him a shove. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Giants players, and 26 is going. Actually, no, I'll take a sideline. Like that is not a Premiership football. Like that. I mean, honestly, that running back should have been annihilated on the sideline. In all seriousness, in Division 2, and in the game I watched at the weekend, he'd have been pummeled. So it's frustrating, but take nothing away from 26 here because it's him that's the player of the week. Like he comes out here and he breaks one tackle here, he breaks a second tackle here. He should be killed here. He runs this boy, breaks the tackle, and runs down the side. It's honestly a struggle to watch. It really like as an ex cornerback, I'd have come up and killed him. It's just bonkers. But that's the second. Yeah, Craig's comment here.
Craig, they were probably still in shock as the clipboard clouted them across the back of the head for what just happened.
I'd honestly love to say like, yeah, they maybe were, but they actually if they actually get the better of using this play, it should be stuff for a loss. It's absolute bonkers. Anyway, the third play is from Hertfordshire Cheetahs. Now, I'm going to see if I can maximize this one yet. So this one's from Hertfordshire, so we'll watch this one through.
And I can't remember what the score was.
Play on defense.
I can't remember.
I'm not sure what the score was at this point. No,
I think it was quite tight at this point, to be honest. So it was quite an important play in the game.
Yeah, QB takes a snap. Looks like the feet goes up. Great grab. Now, again, if you watch this through, come on. Okay, if you watch this through again,
that time it was really choppy for me there.
Yeah, it's a little bit choppy this one. So QB takes the snap. Now at this point, you're thinking, yeah, two defenders, two offensive players here. It's like this guy could run through, this guy could be run off. It could be a decent reception here. Safety adjusts, goes up and gets it. Right. So a really good defensive play there, adjusting to the route coming in. The pass isn't a horrendous throw, but safety goes up there, makes an athletic play, and comes down with it. So there's obviously only two of us here tonight. So if we disagree, then we'll ask Craig to chime in and see what he thinks, because it's maybe a bit biased because he'll maybe pick the Titans, but we'll have a
I say we'll leave
uh,
it down to Aaron Gilbreth because he comments a lot. So I think we'll go with his vote if it's a
okay.
tie.
So which one do you think is Player of the Week?
Well, first of all, Craig, I'd like to point out I actually put forward the offensive line block because I loved it that much, but I was overruled on it. Right, starting with the Titans play. The reason I don't want to pick that one is because I'm more angry at the bad defense than the good offense. Like, the guy keeps his legs churning and he makes a good play and he breaks away. That is great. But the defense on display there is absolutely atrocious. That bit you highlighted when there were 7 guys around him about a foot away from the sideline, and he somehow then goes another 45, 50 yards for a touchdown. No, not this guy. The next bit you paused
this guy does my head in because he just pushes him like.
Well, look at all those right, and that moment there, right? I can't vote for it because I'm too annoyed by the poor level of defense at that point. The pick was nice. The guy's obviously sort of on the back pedal. It's a good play. I see someone telling us the game was never close, but I mean, I'm pretty sure the final score was 25-12, wasn't it? I mean, that's not exactly blowout territory.
Unless it was 25-0 and they scored the last two in like the last 10 minutes.
It wasn't. It definitely wasn't.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really strong run from the Caesars quarterback, to be honest. Yeah, see, people are voting for the lineman play. I put that one forward. I wanted to say lineman, right?
If you all overrule me, I'm quite happy to pick the lineman play. If we get enough comments in here saying offensive line, we'll pick offensive line, right? But carry on with what you're saying just now.
Well, we've got four now. Oh no, Nathan's voted twice. That's cheating. Yeah, I mean, with he's obviously rolling out. He's looking for the check down. It's not there. He cuts upfield, cuts inside, makes a guy miss. And ends up making, I don't know how long it was. It looked about 60, 70 yards. Maybe it was longer. Apologies if it was. So I think out of the 3 on the table, that was the best play, but I think you're going to get overruled in the end here.
Yeah, I think I probably am. Well, what I'm going to say is, yeah, like, in all seriousness, these guys are standing watching, which just boils my blood. But 26 for the grind, bravo, right? Just keeping your legs churning and just wanting to be in the end zone makes a difference. Giants, feel ashamed of yourself. This one here, the reason I'm not picking this one is because I actually think the safety is a little bit out of position here if this ball's thrown a little bit further. Like, if you look around here, this guy's in behind him. If this ball's a bit longer, but again, you could say, well, he's obviously adjusting to the ball. He maybe carries the speed through. So I'm maybe being a little bit harsh, but that's a great play as well. And as I say, my play of the week would have been Nottingham. I think the read to go through the hole, the juke move that puts the guy on his backside, and then to break a tackle and run down the sidelines is absolutely brilliant. But there's a lot of O-line love here. So
the O-line don't get enough love, right? The O-line never gets enough love.
So your play of the week is going to be a play that's not picked for play of the week because I feel like you deserve it. So this will be your play of the week. So we'll watch it again because it was funny. where this offensive line just bullies this defensive line all the way through, because this is mental. You don't want to play against this. Question for you though. Wait a minute, we'll watch this through. Here you go. Yeah, it's just dominant, is it?
Yeah.
It's crazy. So, question
But
for you
it's the
though.
three guys. It's the guys right at the end. I think it's maybe the center and the right tackle. Right at the end, you actually see them like still driving the guys out the camera. It's beautiful.
Yeah,
Oh,
it is good. You're right. A runner makes you look good sometimes, but that I don't think that's one lineman porn. But one thing
but
I
you've
will say
already
is,
said runs through naked as well, Nathan. I'm beginning to get really concerned about you.
but one thing I want to ask you is, and this is a genuine question here. How do you think that is probably one of the best offensive lines you'll see in Britball, right? It's probably one of the best blocking plays you'll see in Britball. How do you think they fare against the Warriors D?
I mean, the thing is, I don't know enough about the Warriors' defense, right? But I
It's
mean,
aggressive.
they just don't give up much. But we know, like, I think the thing is like, it's more. Nobody really does much against the Warriors' defense.
No.
You know, nobody seems to do everything. But I think the one thing we're seeing as well, though, is even when teams are doing a decent job against the Warriors' offense, they're just on the field so often. And then it comes into the second half, and I believe they've got their two of their better running backs back as well. And you know, we watched the final against Tamworth, 2019, and it was one absolutely monstrous bulldozing running back, and then they took him out for a breather and replaced him with another absolutely monstrous bulldozing running back.
Yeah.
I think it's just the thing. Like, I think offensively, it becomes difficult when you're going to be matched up against guys that are as big and as physical and as aggressive as you are.
Yeah, I think
And I think that's where the difficulty steps in. And it's not like an insult to the Titans guys at all. It's just the Warriors just seem to have guys that can just do that to everyone.
Yeah, I think the one thing that we heard was that the Warriors have their star middle linebacker back. Apparently, an absolute unit that runs 100 mile an hour. So, but again, for me, that's your two best teams in the country. That's why they're in my power rankings like that. I just wondered if anybody had a thought on that and see where it's going. O-line had never so much fun with their clothes on. Yeah, the O-line are bad for taking their clothes off at games. So, right, we'll go on to our game of the week this week. So, our game of the week this week is a rematch between Colchester Gladiators and Norwich Devils. It was a pretty close affair in the first game. Colchester, after losing week 1 to Ouse Valley and getting shut out, then put up a fair bit of points against Norwich at home. And realistically, they're at home this time. You should see a little bit of a difference. Now, you wouldn't be able to tell that from some of the scores that folk are putting in. Like this was less than a one-score game. Was it one-score game last time?
35-26.
So just over one-score game. So
One and a bit.
9-point game last time, and I've got some like 35-point differences here. So, who do you think is going to win this one? Why do you think they'll swap this one around this time?
I mean, you know, we're saying 35-26, and that was at Norwich. This time it's at Colchester. I think it's one of those, isn't it? I back the Devils to win. I think the Devils are looking good. We know they entered the season as one of our strongest teams, and you know we've not really seen much to suggest otherwise. Even when they've had games where it's maybe been a bit closer, I think they've still won those games, and that becomes quite important. Obviously Colchester now being at home is is potentially an advantage. But I don't know. I just feel like the Devils will continue just to have a little bit more than anyone else in that division.
Yeah, some insight from Bradley there. Now, this is the thing for me, right? Is Norwich. Norwich are obviously undefeated. They have a lot more. They probably have a lot more at stake than Colchester at the moment because Colchester have already lost the game to someone that's not Norwich. But for me, if Norwich go out and win this by 2 touchdowns or more, they're probably our number 1 team in the country again, because Northants aren't playing, and the last game they got run close by Hereford. If Colchester go out and they win this game, Norwich probably drop a little bit, but Colchester probably come back into our rankings where they were at the start of the season. Maybe not as high as they were at the start of the season, but they probably come back into our rankings if they beat Norwich. Because I don't think it's because Norwich are a bad team if they lose. It's because that I actually think Colchester maybe just had one of those games at the start where they just didn't click at all. Nothing was happening, and since then they've started to score points a bit more readily. It's going to be an interesting game. This is why it's game of the week. The close encounter last time. I'm going to side with the Devils, but I think this will be like a 3-point win. I don't think this will be a big win. So I'm going to side with the Devils as well. So we've got 2 Devils for picks for game of the week. So as a Norwich player, I confirm Glads are solid. It'll be a great game. Yeah, we actually, for the start of the season, we expected these two to be 2 of the top teams in Division 2 the whole way through, and it was kind of a shocker to see Colchester drop one to Ouse Valley. But Ouse Valley have got an interesting one this week. If they beat Ipswich, then they're still in contention as well. And you're thinking, oh, maybe interesting, but it's one to look out for. Right, so I'll close this down, and we'll go into our rest of our games. So who was starting with this week? Oh, by the way, you've been Poppelhoff this week, right? So if you've been Poppelhoff this week, is he put up about the longest losing streaks and longest winning streaks. Now, longest winning streak, we're all aware who that is. The Warriors have won 31 in a row, which is ridiculous. So they're up there top, but you don't want to be in the bottom. And the Sauce have lost 15 in a row.
But can we include the Sauce, because the Sauce pulled out the league, didn't they?
Did they? No, they didn't. They played last year, did they not?
No, but they're not playing this year.
Yeah, they are. They're on my sheet for this week, yeah.
Oh, my bad. I thought they pulled. I apologise. It was Jurassic Coast, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Jurassic Coast. So the Sauce
That's my bad.
are on 15 losses in a row. So you've been Poppelhoffed as London Warriors. You are undefeated in 31. The Sauce 15 in a row. Let's try and change it this season. Just a few comments here. We drew with Hereford last season 12-12. Right. So Popple.
Was that when was that? Because I didn't think you were in the same division last year.
We'll have to get on to Poppelhoff and see what he's saying.
In October, so it was an unofficial game then, wasn't it?
Right, okay. October month, like yeah, must have been. It wouldn't have been a league game then, is it? Chris, I can't believe you're late.
Nothing you wanted to hear, mate. Nothing you wanted to hear.
You missed me. Look, actually, I'm going to bring this up just for Chris because it was involved in his game. Chris, this is just for you. Here you go. So for you who don't know, it was the Oxford versus South Wales Warriors game, but I'll say nothing more than that. All right? I told. Yeah, 15th of October, so late night game. Oh, it was official. It was rearranged for May. Oh, well, maybe Poppelhoff's missed this one, so
maybe Poppelhoff's been Poppelhoffed.
Poor guy.
It's
right, so
Poppelhoffception.
Yeah. Our first game. Oh no, what am I saying? Honestly, there were so many jokes going about that. Anyway.
Oh no!
If you don't know what it is, just ask. It was on one of the Britball communities. It's hilarious. Berkshire Renegades versus Southeast Squadron. Who are you going for?
Right. Well, I said last week that this division looks like offensive murder, and I was absolutely right. I believe this was 10-0. Was it 10-0 Berkshire when they played last?
Something
these two?
Like that, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Berkshire are going to win, but yeah, there's not going to be a plethora of points again. It's still going to be offensive murder.
Yeah, I mean, for me, obviously, I had Berkshire rated quite high because I thought they'd maybe come back. They lost the first game. I was like, God's sake. And then they've won the last two. And are they starting to gather a bit of their momentum again? Possibly. these guys aren't going to give me an indication of whether they're actually doing that or not. I think Berkshire win this one. They're at home, and they'll carry on through that. What's this comment before I go on to the next one? See, son, have you got a tee off time?
I was waiting to say, you're talking about the football pitch or the golf course?
Times your 4 ball. Next game.
Texas scramble to decide who wins.
Yeah. Now this one is a cracking game. Was on our list for potential game of the week. Cambridgeshire Cats, again, another team, had a wee bit of a wobble at the start of the season, have got better and better. Then they beat Wembley 18-14, and you're thinking, oh, Wembley were undefeated, etc., etc. Then last week, Essex go beat Wembley comfortably, and you're thinking, oh, so this makes this an exciting game. Now, we will say that we have heard some things about Wembley, that some of them have disappeared to a team that will not name out, but they're in London. And they're not the Warriors. So I believe it's that they have lost some players. But even then, take nothing away from that. Essex gave them a good run over last week. Cats defense probably just as good as Wembley's was the first 3 weeks. Offense a little bit better. Now, because it's away, I'm going to side with the Cats here. I think that they'll win it. A couple of touchdowns maybe. But Essex will run them hard here, and I think it'll be a close game. Chris?
For God's sake.
I know.
So not that one. It's the one at the bottom. I was laughing at.
The 9th at 9, Darren.
Yeah, he probably was. To be fair, Chris, he's behind everything else.
But I picked the South Wales Warriors and phoned them up. Right, tee off time 12 o'clock.
He booked it. Yeah, that was the one I was laughing at.
Yeah, he's not with us this week, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, I'm loving how well the Essex Spartans are playing this year. After the hoo-ha about getting promoted, not getting promoted, and then the COVID season, and then they were playing only Division 2 opponents, and then when the Division 1 and that structures came out for this year, they weren't in Division 1, and it turns out it was a mistake, and they should have been. For them to go through all that sort of emotional carnage and just to basically say, you know what, we're going to lay down a bit of a marker here, we're going to show we deserve to be here, and the way they're doing it, I'm loving everything about the way the Spartans play. I'm a massive fan of the Cats, and I really think their offense is starting to explode. I think this is going to be a really tight game. And as I say, we talked about it as a game of the week contender, but I'm going to back the home team in a narrow victory. I think the Cats get it done. Sorry, Essex. I do want to pick the Spartans, but I think the Cats win. Yeah,
it was a good win last week by Essex. So I was close to putting you in the power rankings actually, but until I've seen for a fact that Wembley are hemorrhaging players, then to other teams, then I'll not move them yet. But obviously, you have a win each against each other, so I left them where they are. Next game, back up to Scotland: Clyde Valley Blackhawks versus Dunfermline Kings. Chris, you can go first with this one.
Yeah, well, the Blackhawks have had a sort of a really long break now as well. You know, they came. You know, we played them week 1. And that was a tight game, and then they played the Kings and beat them comfortably 2 weeks after, I think. And then because of the Dumfries Hunter game not being played due to no officials, they've had a massive break. And yeah, I mean, you know, we've played both. I think, you know, the physicality of the Blackhawks is what wins them this game more than anything else. We know they're aggressive up front. We know they're strong. You know, and you know, I think, you know, there was obviously an issue with Coach Edmonston leaving the Kings, which is unfortunate. And I think they'll kind of suffer as a result of that. So I think, yeah, the Blackhawks will just have too much in the end.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat here. I think that Dunfermline are obviously doing some all right stuff. They're attracting a decent squad, and having seen them play, they don't have that cutting edge, and Clyde Valley can do that to you. They can come out and they can score. I said two big running backs that'll really go after you as well. So Clyde Valley will take this one at home for me. Speaking of long breaks, Darlington Steam, I believe, haven't played for weeks. And before the break, we're looking decent. I mean, they lost very closely to Gateshead away from home. The DC Presidents are they're struggling to show really much at all, especially in terms of defense. And I think that Darlington are potentially the best team in that division outside of Gateshead. It could be close. I honestly I couldn't tell you which team between the two of them will win that division. It'll come down to that second game, I think, between the two. But this is an easy pick for me. It's going to be Darlington all the way.
Yeah,
Poppelhoff. I have to apologise to the
so
sauce. 12.
Poppelhoff has been Poppelhoffed. So it was an awful Hoff instead, then, was it?
An awful Hoff. For goodness sake. Yeah, have words with Steve. He won't be watching, so you can badmouth him on here if you want. It's about the only time you get him. But yeah, that's a shame. But yeah.
Yeah, good for the sauce though. Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, DC have been struggling. I know, it's first full season back in the league, so they're obviously having a bit of teething issues. But the Steam are a strong team, and I don't see any reason why the Darlington Steam can't win this game.
No, if it wasn't the sauce, it'd be Torbay Trojans. That's all I'm saying. They've got 12 losses in a row, so I can't see that changing anytime soon either. Next game, Doncaster Mustangs versus Scunthorpe Alphas. Now, going into the season, I actually thought this should be a really good game, but it's the way things have folded out so far. Doncaster, we know, have lost their QB to Yorkshire. They've probably lost another couple of players. They didn't look good in their first game. They got beat by Humber comfortably. Scunthorpe beat Humber, so by that logic, I'm picking Scunthorpe to win this one.
Yeah, I mean, Scunthorpe have looked quite good when they played. Their unis are quite sick. Hopefully, they're going to be in white. Please tell me they're going to be in their white one this week because it looks cool. Yeah, but I think we spoke about Doncaster before being a potentially stronger team in the division, and I believe they lost their quarterback to the Yorkshire Rams. And they've kind of struggled. Yeah, I've seen that as well. And I just, as I say, the same logic. They lost comfortably to Humber. Humber lost comfortably to Scunthorpe. So I think that all of us get this one done.
Yeah. Next one, I'll let you start with this one because this is in the no offense league.
So why would I start with it? Yeah, I mean, again, what was the score when these two met? It was like 10-8 or something, wasn't it?
It was close, yeah.
It was something along those lines.
What you're talking.
But it was the Sabres that got the job done in the Battle of the Easts. Yeah, it was 10-8. Thanks, Aaron. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's not much to get excited about with this game. It was 10-8 when the Sabres were at home, so you could argue potentially the score flips when the Mavericks are at home, but I'm going to keep giving the Sabres my backing for this week.
Yeah, I mean, the Sabres obviously are 10th in our power rankings at the moment. They're undefeated. Yeah, they're away from home. They should handle the Mavericks here. Again, we can't push them up the rankings unless they start putting up some points, because as soon as they come up against some of the not descending, but this division isn't the strongest. So as soon as they start coming up against some bigger teams in the playoffs, then they need to be scoring more points than they are. But he says it's Sabres to win this one. Make sure that I'm not missing their comments here. No offense, they help with playoff seeding, though. Yeah, well, that's true.
It does, and that is important.
Next game, Hertfordshire versus Oxford Saints. Now, is there any tee-off times? Because if there is, then there's an easy selection here straight away.
See, I think this is quite a tough game to predict because I'm saying Oxford Saints at 3 over par.
Yeah, and I'm saying Hertfordshire by 4.
No,
In all
yeah,
seriousness, Hertfordshire went away from home last week and beat what a lot of people considered to be one of the better teams in Division One at Rushmore. And I'll read the comments in a minute. And they're coming up against an Oxford Saints team that just took a really heavy loss to South Wales. Now we know there's a reason for that. And the thing is, it's probably not going to resurrect itself. It's not going to sort itself out in a week. So Hearts are at home. I really hope that Oxford don't get thumped. If I'm honest, I really hope that they come in and they put up a fight. And they hit straight down the fairway every shot. Really, the Hertfordshire Cheaters should have nothing to worry about here.
yeah. I mean, the thing is Coach Barnes wasn't happy with us, picking against the Cheetahs. But one thing we spoke about was we know how good that Cheetahs defense is, right? And the main focus was, would the offense turn up? And it seems like they did. I watched the highlights. There was obviously a few really deep balls. So, someone from the Cheetahs can maybe tell me here, but was there an immaculate reception in that game? I'm sure I've seen one in the highlights where the ball got knocked out of the receiver's hands and volleyed straight up into another one's.
I've never known what that was until you told me before we came online.
So yeah, but I'm pretty sure I've seen a Cheetahs player go up for the ball, catch it, and then I got hit over. Yes, Craig, I did see it. I thought I did. Where it rebounded out his hands and went straight into somebody else's, which was quite fun to see.
What did we call that when that happened to us?
Oh, we did it. We did it. So it got volleyed out of your hands, and I caught it.
It'll be more than this, Nathan. It'll be more than that.
Chris, trust me, we take absolutely no pleasure in the Oxford Saints, having their first loss of the year, because I love the Saints, I really do, and I actually want them to win every week. You know what I mean? But clearly when they went into the game last week, they didn't go in, with a full strength offense. There was a hole in one, and.
I didn't even see that one coming.
And in the end, the South Wales Warriors really put them out their misery. And but the thing is, that was the main driver behind the score. So it was, it's a shame. We're really hoping for a good game from that one as well. So I hope they fix it for this week so we can get a better game with the Cheetahs. But I think that Cheetahs, I think the Cheetahs defense is just so strong. And as we say, if that offense is firing, then I believe they can win any game this year.
I want to say that this is the best I've seen all day.
But I feel for Chris right now, because he the 1 week that we all back the Saints to win, and then that happens. It's
not
it's
all
one
of
of those
us.
things.
Not all of us.
No. Yeah, it was just unfortunate in the end. But yeah, hopefully they can kind of sort that stuff out. But yeah, I certainly wouldn't. I can see this being like a longest yard situation, where the offensive line just doesn't bother to block on the first play.
Yeah. So that's how it's going to be. Yeah, honestly, it's honestly one of the funniest things I've ever heard in Britball. Like I was honestly about in tears the other night, and about in tears there. It's just hope he doesn't stray out of bounds. The next game, the Highland Stags versus Dumfries Hunters. Now, being actually on the field watching the Stags, they're a very good team. They're big on the offensive line. They do not commit many penalties. One thing that I will say from your guys' game last week is that the blocking was very, very good standard. There was very little very little holds, very little illegal blocks or anything. But they are a big physical team. They are efficient with what they were doing, but they can also turn like really yards in really fast. So like a couple of drives, they went for like 5 yards, 3 yards, and they stalled. And the next yard they'd go 40 yards, 30 yards, touchdown. And I think that that's going to really help them being able to have both sides of that. Their defense is obviously physical. Their wee little nine, him playing safety, he can hit you. He's a wee dude, but he absolutely wiped out one of your boys
Well,
on
he
Sunday.
actually, to give you a bit more context to that, he actually hit the same guy 2 plays in a row and cracked 2 of his ribs.
Yeah, honestly,
Um,
like the hit was. I
it was
actually
literally like back-to-back plays.
had I been standing on the sidelines as a fan, you'd have heard me go "damn" or "whoa," but I had to just like stand there like nothing had happened. But in my inside, I was going, "Jesus, that was nasty." But yeah, they're a very good team. Dumfries are away from home. They did not travel a lot of people to you guys, so I expect the Stags to win this one pretty comfortably.
Yeah. We probably could, to be fair, Aaron, but nobody asked you to chip in. Yeah, I mean, obviously, we've now played both these teams now, and it's difficult because every team in this division is extremely physical. But if you ask me to pick the 2 most physical teams in the division, it would be these guys. Like the Hunters obviously don't have a huge squad, but they are filled with very rage filled individuals like Mr. Strictlaw, who's unhappy with your pick. And that was the thing. I mean, certainly from the Stags' point of view, again, a lot of A gap blitzes, a lot of multiple linebacker blitzes, a lot of things like that to try and confuse the guys up front. So, they're hyper aggressive, and it's one of those things. I think ultimately the journey is what takes the toll here. They've never got back to me, but I do believe the Highland Stags will be getting officials for the first time this year.
Woo!
So although you've said nobody holds, we'll find out because they've not actually had any BAFRA refs yet. So this is their fourth time of asking, and they're getting refs for this game. So who knows? But no, and I think ultimately it's a very long journey for the Hunters to make.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of going to be the thing that takes its toll, really.
Yeah, I say they've got some cracking players on defense. 9, 49, 55, all really solid players. So Dumfries are going to have to come up with something to score against them. Next game, Nottingham Raiders versus Gateshead Senators. How do you see this one panning out?
Yeah, I mean, it looks like the Senators have kind of moved to the top of that division. I mean, I would argue that the top 2 teams are probably the Steam and the Senators. And yeah, and from that point, I think the Senators obviously just squeaked past the Steam earlier on in the season. I think the Gateshead Senators just have too much. We've spoke about them so many times in this context that they seem at the top of Division 2, and then they get promoted and they're just not good enough to stay in Division 1. And we're kind of seeing that again. They're down Division 2 and they're outperforming everyone again.
Yeah, we've said this numerous times, and I guess from this game's point of view is not only beat DC Presidents and put up quite a lot of points, but and they managed to keep Darlington, I say fairly close. I don't know how the game was in general, but it was 27-6, which isn't like a horrendous result. But Gateshead are again the big physical team for Division 2. They're probably too good for that division outside of Darlington, so it should be a comfortable win for Gateshead here. Next one, a game I alluded to earlier, which could be quite interesting. So, Ouse Valley obviously beat Colchester the first game of the season. Right, I'm just going to double check my facts here before I get Poppelhoft next week. They had which one is it? SFC2 East, is it?
Yeah.
So yeah, the Ipswich lost to Norwich quite heavy last week, 32-13. But they lost only 10-0 to Colchester. But Ouse Valley beat Colchester 6-0 and then lost 26-6 to Norwich. So this, like, It's really hard to call that. One thing I will say is Oostvaarde at home, and I think that helps you out. Their offense has never been very, very good at scoring points. Like they scored 6 points to win against Colchester, and they scored 6 points to lose against Norwich. Ipswich, on the other hand, are the same. They have 13 points and 0. So this could literally be like a 3-all, which is disgusting. But I'm going to side with the home team here because honestly, it's so hard to tell who's going to win this one. So I'm going to say Oos Valley for this. Chris?
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the thing, isn't it? You know, they Oos Valley won 6-0 against Colchester, as you said, but I don't know if you can put some of that down to like that first game. You know, some teams just cannot get the offense going in that first game. Like maybe it was something along those lines. I mean, it is literally a coin flip with these guys. Do I believe Oos Valley are the better team than Ipswich? Not really. Will the home team make a difference? Possibly. I actually think I backed Ipswich in this game. I'd have to double check. I might be double crossing myself here, but I'm going to back Ipswich.
Well, they've got an argument here, Luke. O's got more than the Eagles, and then offense is better than the scores show. What do you know? The thing is, it's like we don't get to see these games. We only get to see posts about them, highlights, anything online. So I think this is going to be really close. I don't think there'll be much offense at all. But then again, it might be one of those games that they just not playing a higher level of defense, and they end up going nuts, and it ends up being a shootout. So you never know. Next game, another one that you thought would be game of the week. 25 all last time, so every justification as to why it would be. However, Surge coming off a good win against Crew last week. I think we've had this week 1 stuff come in, and they've just not managed to get going. And Lee almost took that first game, and if it wasn't for a last minute touchdown. So for this Staffordshire at home, I reckon they'll be back to a bit better level, and I think they'll win this one by 10 plus points. You?
I mean, I think that's the thing. You know, I think we didn't really see the true Surge in their first game of the season. I think it's probably fair to say, but I think it's also fair to say we didn't see that out of the Lee Miners either. You know, like the Lee Miners got well beaten by the Crew Railroaders in their first game. But we had obviously heard that it was only a couple of weeks out from a couple of the Manchester Bees guys heading over to the Miners. And then obviously these guys played out a 25 all, and then the Surge went and comfortably beat the Railroaders. I think it's going to be tight again. I really do. I think this is going to be a really tight game, but I think the Surge have the overall experience. And
Yeah, I think they will. I think that's the difference. I think they'll have the overall experience going into this, and that might be telling going through. Now, this next game's an interesting one. I've had at least 4 people reckon to me that this is the week that Sussex Thunder get off the 0. So what do you think? I'm waiting for him to say no.
I don't believe it is. And in some ways, maybe it's better it isn't. The Sussex are going to have, a pretty significant rebuild job to do. And I think they're doing a good job of starting it now. I think they're making progress, right? But I just don't know. I mean, obviously the Blitzby have struggled more than certainly I thought they would. Considering during the COVID season last year, they kind of they did quite well, but they've had they've had a week off to kind of prep for it. I think they've been, you look at their games, they have all still been quite close, right? It's not been blowouts along the way. And then you look at, obviously, Sussex, as has been pointed out, the Sussex score against the Hornets, and it was a big defeat for Sussex. And I think overall the Blitz B will have too much. I think the thing that I would like to know that's quite interesting, though, is after the Blitz B doing so well against other Division 1 teams last year, is it a case of their best players then got bumped up to the Blitz A squad? And you're starting to see that sort of rinse through. But as for this weekend, I don't think the Thunder get off the mark. And in some ways, as I say, I'm not really sure it's in their best interest that they do either.
Here's another one. Honestly, there's a few people think this, and I'm going to agree with you, however, and this is why. London Blitz B 7, London Hornets 28, London Hornets 52, Sussex Thunder 16. So to me, you know what? I've watched the Sussex Thunder's highlights quite a lot this season already, and they clearly have some good players. I think it's 83, their wide receiver. He's obviously a really good player. They have some big guys on the defensive line. They just have some decent players, but it just doesn't look like they've got like anything really going for them right now. And maybe that's because they're just trying to rebuild and kind of put everything in place again. But I mean, their only good thing here is that London have got to travel to them. I honestly think it's going to be very, very close. I think London Blitz are going to win this, but I think it's going to be like squeaky bum time. I think they're going to be very, very close in this one. So London Blitz for me as well. I believe this one's got a name to it, is it not? Pasty Bowl or something? Pasty Bowl? Is it Pasty Bowl?
Toilet bowl.
I don't know. What is that? I don't know. Probably tell us. There we go. 86. He's on holiday in Italy this week. Oh, well, that just puts the nail right in the coffin. Yeah, it could be toilet bowl. But yeah, I think this one's horrendous. It's so strange that a team like Torby are getting thumped by almost everybody, but Cornwall aren't much better. But I actually think Cornwall could still put up a lot of points against Torby, which is just horrendous. I say Torby at home. It's a rivalry. I hope that it's close, but I just can't see it being that way. I've got to pick the Cornwall Monarchs here. Yeah, passable. I think it was something like that. Oh, you're efficient. You can give us the lowdown next week, Nathan.
I think the thing with this game is that that division has so much disparity in it. Like you're talking about Torbay being your bottom team and the Bristol Apache being your top team. And they're just, it's almost like you need a Division 2B at that point, you know what I mean? Or a Division 1B or something. Like the Apache seem too strong for it. But I think that kind of contorts it a little bit. I think it makes it look like this would be a close game because Cornwall got beat heavily by Apache. I don't think that's the case. I think this will still be an absolute blow-away by the Monarchs.
Yeah. Next one, the Sauce, who you thought weren't even a team anymore.
Sorry, Sauce.
And who don't have a 15-game losing streak. So they're winning on two fronts already this week, but unfortunately that's where it's going to end. Hereford have clearly been notably improved this year. They ran Northants close, and like it wasn't as if it was like they just came back. It was a very, very good game apparently. So I think that Hereford will win this one comfortably. The Sauce will have to wait some more weeks to get a chance to win, and we'll see if Hereford can challenge Northants for their top spot. You?
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. You know, it's not like I can sit here and say that the Sauce have a chance to end their losing streak because apparently that doesn't exist anymore. So, but I think that's one of the things. You know, we've seen improvement from Hereford, right? You know, they've looked better, and you know the Sauce have played 2 games this year, and they've lost 32-0 and they've lost 61-0. And that conceding a lot and scoring a little doesn't ever really bode well. So I think the Stampede win comfortably.
Yeah, Yeah, Stampede came to play. Like we seen it in the results. We didn't expect it to be that close. Although I picked Hereford the week before when nobody else did, so I thought I had a bit more from them. Next game now, Shropshire versus Birmingham. I don't know if this one's actually on the list. Is it? Let me just check this. For some
I
reason,
thought it was last week.
it's last week. Yeah, I don't know why this one's still on the list. I don't think it's.
Just let me double check, but I
Yeah,
don't think they're playing this week.
I'm just double checking here. I think I maybe just left this one in by accident.
Because there's less games this week. Yeah, it looks like it.
Yeah, so they're not playing this week, so this one can go in the bin. This one is, however, going ahead. So this is the Yorkshire Rams versus Inverclyde. Again, Yorkshire have had a break since they played East Kilbride. This is a totally different kettle of fish. They should be able to utilise a lot more offence against Inverclyde. And although Inverclyde will never back down, they're a gritty team. They will fight this one all the way through. I see a comfortable Yorkshire win because it's a big travel for the Goliaths. You?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you'd asked me prior to the Goliaths game against Glasgow, you would have probably said that the division was kind of split into EKP, Northumberland, Yorkshire, Lancashire, and Inverclyde, and then Glasgow at the bottom. But I think we've seen I think we've maybe seen a lot of improvement from Glasgow in these last 2 weeks. So they're maybe moving a bit closer up to that sort of level as opposed to the Inverclyde Goliaths moving down. But I still think there's just too much of a gap between these two teams at the moment. And yeah, I think it should be a comfortable Rams win in the end.
Yeah. Postponed games this week we know about.
Yeah.
Next, couple of things before we go. Firstly, so next Friday, because it's the Jubilee, we're off work. So, and it's my partner's birthday. So we will do our show in the morning. So our show will be at 11 o'clock next Friday. Never know, might a few pints, while we do it, depending. Chris hates the royal family, so
I don't know. That's not true. I don't hate the royal family. I just don't see the point.
yeah.
So I'll take the free day off. So
exactly, we'll take the day off. So next week, because I'm out at night, we're going to do our show at 11 o'clock in the morning. Get up, have some breakfast if you've got a day up, and come and join us. Once again, game day live for this weekend. Put your scores in. Let everybody go. Who's being cheeky?
Is that because of your tee off times? Does it take you that long to get around the golf course, Chris? Does it?
Yeah, it's game day live again this weekend. So if you've got a hashtag your results, send them in. And just before we go, I'll just leave this one up here as an image of the week. So yeah, I'll just leave that there while we end the show. So thanks everybody for joining again. Again, share this as much as you can. We're trying to get as many people involved. If you'd like to come on as a guest, let us know. We'll look for a guest for next Friday morning. So honestly, booked a buggy. That's going to go on for weeks. But honestly, thanks for joining in. We will see you all again next week in the morning this time. Catch you later.
Cheers, guys.